And 3, 2, hello everybody! It's me, your host, Adam. I'm here today. I'm going to be interviewing Edray1416. That's right! Do you know who that is? Well, you probably don't. But Edray1416 is a very controversial figure online. He has his very own Encyclopedia Dramatica page, and we're going to get into all that and how he came to be this infamous character amongst this pocket of society. But first, I'm going to get to the beer of the day, and the beer of the day is Ommegang's Stormcrusher. It's a Belgium-style quadruple ale brewed with blueberries and coffee. It is 9.7% in alcohol by fucking volume. Jesus Christ Almighty God! I thought I was gonna get a little just to have a little good taste, but no, this is gonna get me pretty drunk in one sip. But I'm gonna go ahead and try this beer here. I do not taste blueberries or coffee. That might be because of the overpowering alcohol taste. You know what? There's a hint of it. Oh man. Okay, there's the coffee. It doesn't hit you right off the bat like most beers. I think it is the alcohol. It smacks you in the face right when you take that first sip. But the aftertaste, as it settles on the back of your tongue, you can taste all the. It's a pretty good beer. I mean, don't get trashed on this. I don't see anyone chugging this beer. This is definitely a sip and have fun. I give this beer. Man, that is just potent. And I've drank some high in alcohol stuff before, and they were able to mask that taste. It tastes like I'm drinking pure rubbing alcohol. To be honest, it has a very pure rubber. Like, oh my goodness, that's intense. I'm gonna give this. I don't give it too low of a rating because it tastes good. It's just hard to drink. I'm gonna give this 3 devil horns out of a 6-pack of fairy godmothers. Okay, and so today we are definitely interviewing Edray1416. Edray, how are you doing?
Doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. Now, Edray, are you on any social media platforms at this time?
Well, the only one that I'm in social media right now is Minds because Gab is down temporarily. It should come back within a couple of days or so because I've been paying attention to what's going on in the media.
Well, let's back up real quick. I'm gonna get to Gab, but you said Minds?
Yeah, it's an independent social media site that runs on cryptocurrency. It's a decentralized form of social media, which is supposed to be an alternative to Facebook because Facebook has been purging a lot of conservative opinions lately, and Minds has been the go-to place for conservative opinions as of late.
Well, that's really cool. Do you have so you get like followers and stuff?
Yeah, I got a little bit of followers, but they don't pay much attention.
Oh, so it's probably less active as other sites.
Currently right now because Minds is a relatively young site and people are trying to figure out how cryptocurrency works. But once cryptocurrency is explained to the masses on all sorts of social media out there, then Minds could see a big boom, just like other sites out there.
So Gab, yeah, you're right. You know, it's funny. I had just made a Gab account for Opinions and Beer because I wanted to just promote it more. And then I go back and it's down. It's shut down. And it turns out it's because I guess the guy, whoever the web host or provider or something, he just shut that down. What do you think about that?
Well, this all stemmed from the attack of the synagogue over in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I think it was called Tree of Life Synagogue or something. And a gentleman by the name of Robert Bowers decided that he didn't like Donald Trump because he was supporting Jewish people and he was pro-Israel and all that. And because Robert Bowers hated Jewish people, he wanted to go in there and make a statement. And when this was reported on Gab to the owner of the site named Andrew Torba, What he did was shut down the site to investigate the crime and cooperate with the authorities. But while that site was down, what happened was that the web hosts got very angry at what happened on Gab, and the media, the mainstream media, blew this whole thing up into a giant deal, which Gab was solely responsible when it was actually the user that promoted the terroristic threat. Andrew Torba had to shut it down because of the whole situation, and Gab was also investigating other people that were committing criminal acts on Gab, because of what they've said, and issued many death threats. And they take threats very seriously on that site compared to Twitter and Facebook, because what happened was Robert Bowers had a Twitter and Facebook account, and no action was taken against them. So it was all this was all malarkey, if you will, brought on by the mainstream media to try to discredit a site that promotes free speech like Gab.
That is pretty crazy. Joe Rogan. I heard Joe Rogan talk about how, well, he was saying how is it okay for people to get censored on Twitter and Facebook, or that is a company ran. So if you don't want to be censored, make your own platform. But then someone makes their own platform to have open and free speech, and then they get shut down. So it's just kind of weird how that happens.
Well, what happened was when Gab was starting to gain momentum, Twitter and Facebook and all the other big social media sites were intimidated by the presence of Gab because a lot of conservative opinions were flocking over to Gab. The last time I checked, there was about 600,000 people on Gab before Gab had to close down because of the incident.
Wow. So do you think that Gab will ever return?
Oh, it should return within the next few days because they have a new host, a new domain. All of it is independent, and then they got independent investors, which is going to keep the site going for quite a while. All Andrew Torba has to do is finish up whatever investigations are necessary to cooperate with the authorities, and then when Gab comes back on, there are going to be an influx, a traffic, if you will, of new users.
That's really good. I hope it does come back, and I hope everything gets sorted out. Let's move on. So you're at Gab, you're at Minds, you were at multiple other, you were on multiple other platforms. So I know you knew this was going to come up. So what happened? Why are you constantly surrounded with controversy? Why are you constantly having to shut down your pages and delete your accounts? And let's start from the beginning of how you became to be Edray1416.
I created my own account on August 2nd, 2007 called Edray1416. And through time, I branched out from doing wrestling promos, wrestling shows, and cooking shows to documentaries and stuff like that. But then in 2014, I decided to change my content and be a little more political, if you will. So that was when I ended up becoming Berg Productions. And when I came back on YouTube, a lot of people immediately out of the gate came to give me comments, negative comments, saying that your political bias is going to come back and haunt you someday. I don't know whether they're right or not, but it's their opinion.
But you went on and you jumped. You are a part of what everyone calls the commentary community. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. The YouTube commentary community.
Well, you say YouTube, but the commentary community has migrated to multiple platforms, have they not?
Some yes, many no, because it all depends on the quality of the site.
Now, your most recent, besides this last YouTube exit, your most recent before that was Vidly. Now, I want you to discuss with me what happened on Vidly. Why did you leave Vidly?
Well, it all started when I uploaded a video called The Top 5 Reasons Why I'm Hated, and one of the examples was that I couldn't take criticism, and it was pretty obvious that people were not going to like me for that. And then I openly admitted that I supported segregation because with the amount of fighting going on between white people, black people, and other minorities, in the country, I think it would be feasible at this point to try to separate these people and make them thrive on their own community again, see if they can work together again to improve their own community.
Wow. Well, I can definitely see how that may come off as divisive or strenuous in a conversation, and people could probably take you the wrong way. I don't know if there is a right way to take you, but I'm sure someone out there I can see how you could upset somebody, but he's pro segregation. Oh my god.
Well, when I made the video called Why I Support Segregation in America, I was actually providing examples of why I supported and why segregation back then was actually a good time for American history, because black people were a lot more productive before 1954. You know, they were picking cotton, they were building stuff, they were running their own barbershops, restaurants, etc. And there were a lot of doctors during the segregation period that served well for their communities.
Well, wow. Okay. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it is you do realize that it's pretty tough for someone to hear you know. Oh yeah, it was good when people were picking cotton and people were very segregated and couldn't drink out of the fountain, and they had to ride the back of the bush. That's what you sound like. You sound like some hillbilly hick.
Well, whether they want to ignore the studies that I provided on that video in question or not, I mean, you could still find it on BitChute. It's still there, so you'll be able to find all the information and all the evidence linking to the information that I've put on the video.
Oh, that's okay. So you leave Vidley because of this controversy?
Yes, because a lot of people were so angry that they didn't even care to look at the citations to make sure that my points hold weight.
So you come back to YouTube, and then what happens?
After I came back to YouTube, started making very controversial videos regarding homosexuality, segregation, the same video that I also posted on Vidley, and it's also on BitChute. But then after a while, you know, YouTube was continuously getting worse in terms of entertainment because everybody was getting so triggered over trivial stuff that I couldn't take it anymore, you know. One day you make a joke video, the next thing people are going to be too political to even take a joke. And then there are the other videos, the educational videos. They don't want to watch that anymore. They just want to focus on politics only. And it gets to a point where if nothing is entertaining anymore, why do you want to be on the site? So if I had enough of YouTube, and that was it.
All right, so I want you to explain. I'm going to throw out some names out there from the commentary community. I want you to explain that each relationship, and how they've come to be, how they started, how they came to be, you know, and what the divide is there. All right? So I'm going to throw out a name. Let's throw out Toro.
Oh, ToroFA. Well, she was a commentator that also did speed paints of Disney drawings and all that other stuff, you know. She also did rants, and her and I used to be friends or acquaintances or whatever you want to call that. But after that segregation video and after me leaving Vidley, there was friction between Toro and I, and eventually it blew up and my friendship with her ended. But then when I found out she was part of the CIA, that was when everything went crazy.
What? That's some BS. That's some fake stuff.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're saying some fake news right there. That's some CNN bullshit. Okay, how about let's throw out Darksythe.
Well, he used to be a different type of commentator because he didn't do the typical anime avatar bullcrap, and he didn't do all these special gimmicks that try to make a commentary look good. You know, he just made the commentary the way he wanted to. He didn't take orders from anybody, and if there was a little edge, then that means he was trying to be facetious. You know, he's facetious with his edge, and after a while, once that popularity got to his head, his content quality started going downhill, and when he openly admitted to being left-winger, liberal, whatever have you, that was when I said that's it. I couldn't take it anymore. So Darksythe and I inevitably had a debate, and he had his buddies come in to try to bully me off the internet, and it didn't even work because what happened was I was starting to get the edge on him, so he decided to bring in his buddies to try to make me look bad, but I held in there in the end.
Okay. Well, I guess you didn't hold it in there in the end because you did leave. Go ahead and throw out Iloveanimie.
He's a creep. He was never really a commentator. He was just a creepy guy. And that's it. I don't want to talk about him.
Why not?
Because the guy's a creep.
What made him? Why is he has such a fascination with you?
Yeah, because he thinks my content was good back then, but then I wouldn't talk to him anymore, and I told him to piss off.
Told him to piss off?
Yeah, because he's a creep.
What made him a creep?
He draws underage characters on DeviantArt.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
It is sick.
Oh my god, he's your number one fan. Well, what does that say about you that your number one fan's a creep?
I say, I tell him to piss off, and if you don't like it, then I just go call the authorities on him.
Oh my goodness. You said you are a wrestling fan?
Yeah, I've been a wrestling fan since 1997. I think it was October of 1997 when I started watching WCW and WWE.
What'd you think about this recent controversy surrounding WWE and the Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think it was a bad move for them to go to Saudi Arabia in the wake of a CIA agent being killed in Saudi Arabia by some people getting beating him up to death.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think about the booking?
I think the booking was very terrible, you know. Not the Hulk Hogan returning to WWE and Saudi Arabia of all places, but I'm thinking that the WWE Universal Championship between Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar was booked pretty poorly because it should have been Braun Strowman's day to be champion.
Yeah. What did you think about? Do you think Hulk Hogan's going to be wrestling again?
Well, if he does, who's he going to wrestle?
Maybe he joins Team Kurt at Survivor Series.
You think he'll have one more leg drop in him?
Maybe. I don't know who he would leg drop though. Maybe give a leg drop to Dolph. Ziggler seems to be taking the blunt end of things. So we got some. We're gonna move along to politics. Not much to talk about in WWE, but so the midterm elections are coming up. So 3 days? We have 3 days.
Yes, sir. November 6, 2018.
Oh, so probably 2 days when this is posted. But so yeah, what do you think?
I think it is going to be one of the biggest elections in American history because you've got so much on the line regarding Beto O'Rourke trying to be senator of Texas or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez being a representative of New York District 14. Those are very important Senate government seats, House seats, Senate seats, etc.
Did you see that more people voted in this election than they did the presidential election?
You're talking about early voting?
Yeah.
Well, I have reason to believe that they wanted to vote early because on November 6th, some people are speculating that there are going to be a lot of attacks, you know, some terrorist attacks, whether it's from Antifa or the migrant caravan crisis that is going on right now with Donald Trump sending 15,000 troops at the border to try to stop the migration from crossing over the border.
Which, they're suing them now.
Who's being sued?
Trump.
Over the whole borders?
The migrants that are coming, they're suing Trump. Before they even got here, they're suing him.
The question is, why are they suing him?
Okay, they're suing him for apparently breaching a constitution or whatever.
What constitutional law is that?
For letting people have rights or something.
Well, that's stupid because the Constitution is about American rights.
Yeah, but they said that they qualify under that because they're seeking asylum to become Americans.
Well, that does not count as constitutional law because, number one, they are crossing the border illegally. They crossed the Mexican border illegally. They're going to try to cross the American border without any papers or any fees to pay just to get through the border. So they have no right to sue the president as far as I'm concerned because that is a violation of the Constitution.
Isn't that weird, though? How are they suing them? You know how? I wanted to bring this up in a later podcast, but have you heard of Project Veritas?
Well, I've heard of that.
Well, you need to hear of it more because it's basically it's basically people being exposed for who they are, and it gets very little coverage.
Kind of like Beto O'Rourke being responsible for campaign fraud. Is that right?
Yes, but you know what that money's going to?
Where?
It's funding them. It's being sent to them so they can sue Trump.
Which is one of the stupidest things out there.
And they admitted it. The thing is, the reason why the Project Veritas gets so much, it gets kind of crapped on is because it's you can't really verify that the videos are real. You know, it could be staged. But stupidly enough, the Beto O'Rourke campaign people admitted it. They're like, they try to come up with defense. They could have said nothing, and nobody would have believed the video. But because they said something, now it's like, okay, so you did do this.
I'll tell you what, if more people were to watch that video in time, odds are that at the polls, Ted Cruz would still retain his Senate seat, because what Beto O'Rourke is doing is committing fraud. He's already committed multiple crimes throughout his political career, and he's also committed multiple DWIs. He apparently did a hit and run, and his father was arrested apparently for having cocaine on the dashboard of his car. So Beto O'Rourke and his family are a bunch of criminals and rats.
Well, you see that they're saying that they don't even think, the news is kind of saying they don't think Beto's going to win, but they're saying because of how well he's doing in Texas, that he is right now the front runner to go against Trump in 2020.
Oh, I hope that's not the case after what I saw in Project Veritas regarding Beto O'Rourke's fraudulent campaign.
Well, he's not going to get charged with nothing. You think that these people get away with everything?
That's the problem with the Democrats. They get away with everything,
Well, I mean,
and the Republicans get crucified.
Let's be honest. I think everyone gets away with something. But obviously, recently, it's been more public scrutiny on to the Republicans and more praise to the Democratic side. But I think both sides do get away with more than they should.
Yeah, and with most of the voters in America being socialists, that's the problem with the Senate race here in Texas.
I don't know, man. It's just kind of crazy. I think I seen Ted Cruz was in like a little shithole town, and that kind of gave me a little bit of respect to him for even going and helping out at a local flea market. And this was before it was before election time. So I mean, it's not like he wasn't even campaigning. He was just there helping out.
Well, you know, Ted Cruz, he's been helping out a lot more than what Beto O'Rourke will admit. Because if you remember Hurricane Harvey, Ted Cruz was out here surveying all the flood damage. He was greeting people. He was trying to give them hope for a better tomorrow. And that's why a lot of people respect Senator Cruz.
Well,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so at first, it looked like that Republicans might actually gain seats in this election.
Well, after all the stuff that they've been doing as of late, like Representative Maxine Waters of, I think it's California, she's been advocating violence. A lot of people in California and many other states are experiencing unrest because of the violence that is being brought on by Democrats and Antifa.
Yeah, I was frightened for a second because I kept seeing stuff. It's just like I guess last year I kept seeing stuff that all the Democrats were above pretty high in their races. But it's looking like that it's actually really, really close, or Republicans are up by 2, or maybe a Democrat is up by like 1. So it could really go either way, especially in Florida right now. I think Florida is really close. I think Republicans are down by 1, or maybe they're up. I can't remember. I think it's like the Republican race is like, the Florida race is about 2-3 points. The Utah is voting Democrat right now. It's about 6-point lead on Democrat. It's because the Mormons are pissed. Mormons are mad at the Mormons are mad.
Mormons are mad at Trump for
They're
what?
strict. They're strict. Mormons are strict. Trump doesn't. He's not perfect. He's not us personally perfect.
Well, Trump has a lot of things to contend with, like protecting the borders and protecting those Americans that are actually trying to do well for themselves. But you got the government constantly taking away people's rights, and it gets to a point where when are we going to start a new revolution or a new civil war?
When are we going to start a revolution? We probably won't. But until then, you know what we have? We have opinions and we have beer. Opinions and beer. Opinions and beer. Can't go wrong with opinions and beer. Opinions and beer. Opinions and beer. All we got here is opinions. Say goodbye to Edray.
Goodbye.
And beer.